Let me tell you, you haven't lived until you've watched a pearl-white Escalade kick up gravel in your driveway, while the HOA president leans out the window, Chanel number 5 so thick you could chew it, and shouts for the cops to arrest you for stealing your own house. Yeah, that happened. And all because I took a crumpled $1 bill to a county auction and walked out the owner of a crumbling 1872 log mansion, termite holes, leaky roof, ghost stories, the whole haunted Tennessee package. 2 years back, I was just Garrett, a tired electrician from Minnesota with more grief than sense and a life insurance payout burning a hole in my pocket. Diane, my late wife, God rest her, she always dreamed of us breathing life into some old historic beauty. So when cancer took her and left me with a cold, empty house and a check for 400 grand, I figured why not chase the dream for both of us. That's how I wound up in Millbrook Heights, population 2,400 and about as southern as cornbread, staring at a listing that read more like a dare than a sales pitch. 1872 log mansion, abandoned, no heirs, haunted, bring a strong stomach. One look at those photos, porch caving in, windows busted, vines everywhere, and all I could think was, Diane would have loved it. So when bidding opened at $1 and nobody else so much as blinked, I waved my hand. $1 plus 15 grand in back taxes. And the whole mess was mine. The first time I walked in, it hit me. The smell of old rot and new possibility, dust and mouse nests, the whisper of stories in every groaning floorboard. I heard Diane's voice in my head, laughing, telling me it was perfect. I sold my house, packed my tools, and left Minnesota behind. For 18 months, I rebuilt that place board by board, plank by plank, sunrise to sunset. The sound of hammers and the scent of sawdust mixed with my morning coffee, and for the first time since Diane passed, I felt almost whole. At first, the neighbors in Millbrook Heights made me feel right at home. Murphy's Diner Breakfast Club took me in, Tom at the hardware store always had advice and a deal, and folks brought cookies over with encouragement. I was that crazy guy finally fixing up the haunted mansion, and honestly, life was good. For 6 golden months, everything felt just about perfect. Then Hurricane Constance made landfall. Picture this. One morning, I'm out front admiring my handiwork, and here comes this Escalade, smooth as a hearse, doors swinging open with military precision. Out steps Constance. Pembridge, blonde bob, designer purse, perfume that could stun a horse, HOA president and self-proclaimed queen of the subdivision. Her 29-year-old son Bradley is slouched in the passenger seat, snapping photos like he's the paparazzi for the History Channel. Mr. Winters, she purrs, walking my property line like she's inspecting her kingdom. Did you do thorough research? These old homes sometimes harbor complications. I told her about the auction, showed her my title, even mentioned the county clerk had praised my diligence. Her eyes lit up like a cat that just spotted a canary. What I didn't know then was, while I was sanding crown molding and restoring windows, Constance was plotting. Her son needed money, she needed control, and my mansion was her ticket to both. First, she sent the cease and desist letter, official HOA letterhead, demanding I stop all unpermitted construction or pay $500 a day in fines. Thing is, the HOA's own bylaws from 95 never mentioned architectural review, and Tom's hardware store sold me every nail I used. My years dealing with code enforcement kicked in. If it ain't documented and enforced equally, it don't mean squat. So I marched to the next HOA meeting, which was as inviting as a dentist's waiting room. Fluorescent lights, folding chairs, stale potluck casserole in the air. 5 board members behind a table, Constance front and center with her scepter purse. She lists my offenses, noise, unapproved modifications, the works. I counter with facts, even bring up the 23 other unpermitted changes made by current residents, including her best friend's monster deck and another neighbor's oversized fence. Suddenly, everyone's real quiet. That's when Constance drops her act and claims her family's got ancestral rights to my land. She's waving old-looking documents, talking about Pembridge heritage going back generations. The board votes to pause my construction while they review her claims. I drove straight to the courthouse, met with Margaret the clerk, 30 years on the job, sharp as a tack. Turns out the Pembridges owned my place for about 2 years. During the Depression, lost it to foreclosure, and never had a real claim. Oh, and Margaret tells me Constance was snooping around asking about document authentication. A red flag if there ever was. 1. Long story short, I dig deeper, end up in Nashville at the state archives, and confirm the original 1872 land grant was to a German immigrant named Bachmann. Not a Pembridge in sight. Fraud. Pure and simple. But desperate people don't quit. They flip the board and scatter the pieces. The next wave hit with sirens. Sheriff's deputy and a TBI agent knock on my door about illegal archaeological excavations. Apparently, someone, I wonder who, reported me for digging up Native American artifacts. If true, I could lose the house, get buried in federal red tape. They comb through my home, find nothing but one Cherokee arrowhead I'd already reported to the state, following every rule. Deputy Webb's impressed with my paperwork. Agent Chin sees it, too. They leave empty-handed. But the attacks didn't stop. Constance filed a lawsuit claiming adverse possession, hiring a big Nashville law firm. Claimed her family maintained stewardship since the 1920s, which, of course, is legal nonsense. Adverse possession means you gotta live there, treat it as yours, openly, for 20 years. But her real goal? To bankrupt me, poison my reputation, make me so miserable I'd give up. Folks at the diner started wondering if maybe all the smoke meant there was fire. My lawyer Rita dug in, and we found the heart of the scheme. Constance was drowning. In debt, signed a contract with a developer for $2 million if she could deliver my land, clear of restrictions. She even promised Bradley $500,000 as a heritage consultant. Organized fraud. Plain as day. One night, Mrs. Oakley from next door sat with me on the porch, cookies in hand and righteous fury in her eyes. That Pembridge woman's telling everyone you're running an illegal smuggling ring, she said, but then handed me her phone. She'd recorded Constance bragging about how once I was gone, property values would soar, development would roll in, and the whole heritage claim was just smoke and mirrors. The next morning, Constance showed up with her developer and a fake Cherokee Nation specialist, offering me $750,000 cash to walk away. I kept my cool, told them I needed to talk to my legal team, and dropped the FBI bomb. You've never seen folks backpedal so fast. Rita and I spent the next day at the archives, hunting for the smoking gun. She found it, a faded note in the margin of an 1874 land transfer, subject to Federal Preservation Covenant per Congressional Reconstruction Act 1872. We got Dr. Morrison from Vanderbilt on the phone. She about fell out of her chair. Turns out my place was one of the most protected properties in the whole Southeast. No local, state, or HOA can override a federal preservation covenant. Any attempt to mess with me? Federal civil rights violation. Plus, I qualified for $200,000 in restoration tax credits I never claimed. We moved fast, filed for federal recognition, notified the National Register. By 6 o'clock the next morning, my place was listed and untouchable. We called in the cavalry, Emma from the Historical Society, Jake from the HOA board, Tom from the hardware store, and my brother Cal drove down from Minnesota. Rita lined up evidence. Emma documented every lie in Constance's genealogy. Jake brought tapes of her plotting at board meetings. We had 47 neighbors sign statements supporting my rights. Cal gripped my shoulder and said, "Dad lost the farm alone. You've got an army." Constance tried everything, hired a crowd management company to pack the meeting, hired actors to pose as Cherokee Nation reps, even staged a break-in to steal my documents. But we had it all recorded, every threat, every fake credential. Sheriff and FBI were on our side now. Even Meridian Properties, the developer, started getting nervous. The showdown was pure theater. Constance strutted out, waving fake documents, fake Cherokee representatives beside her. Rita coolly asked for their credentials. Emma proved the specialist was an out-of-work actor from Nashville. Constance, cornered, pulled out a thick envelope claiming it was the real federal grant. Rita one-upped her with the authenticated 1872 grant, President Grant's signature, federal seal, and all. Then, the real Cherokee Nation liaison Emma had called stood up and denounced Constance for fraud. Cameras rolling, neighbors watching. You could see her whole house of cards collapse. And then, Constance finally cracked, screaming into the mic about her development deal. how much money she'd poured in, how my cabin was worth millions. Agent Chun arrested her for fraud, interference with federal preservation, and civil rights violations right there in front of the whole town. Neighbors stood up one by one. Mrs. Oakley, Tom, Jake, sharing stories of intimidation and abuse under Constance's reign. News crews caught every second. For the first time in years, people were free to tell the truth. My restoration became the symbol of our town taking back its soul. 7 months later, I'm sitting on my wraparound porch, bourbon in hand, watching the sunrise. Hit my now federally protected cabin. Justice tastes better than Diane's apple pie. Constance is serving 8 years. Bradley got 6 and a lifetime ban. The fake Cherokee actor got 2. And Meridian Properties paid millions in fines. Millbrook Heights healed. Mrs. Oakley started a constitutional festival. Tom's the new HOA president, and every financial record is online for all to see. I got $187,000 in tax credits. My property value soared, and the cabin draws tourists from 3 states. More than that, I found purpose again, helping other families fight back against HOA. Corruption with federal law on their side. Diane's legacy lives on, not just in every beam and floorboard, but in the scholarship fund we started for historic preservation. Kel moved down the street, and the porch is crowded every month with neighbors who once feared, now celebrate together. So here's my advice. Document everything, research your property's history, band together with neighbors. And never, ever, let some HOA Karen bully you out of your American dream. If this story gives you hope or makes you want to punch the air, share your own HOA horror story down in the comments. Who knows? Your land might be protected too, and your fight could inspire someone else. Justice still lives in America, if you're stubborn enough to stand your ground. And if you believe the Constitution still means something, smash that subscribe button for more stories where the underdog wins. Because sometimes, a single dollar buys you more than a house. It buys you a future worth fighting for.